It's Becca Newton from the KBIA Newsroom, and it's time for Missouri on Mic, conversations from Missouri in its 200th year. Roxie Campbell is a naturalist at Rockbridge Memorial State Park. She spoke with the Missouri on Mic team at the State Fair in August about the vulnerability of our natural resources and Missouri's long-standing tradition of sharing them. Here's Roxie.
Growing up on the farm, I got to play outside a lot, going up in the fields and the woods, and I had tree houses and climbed trees and just explored. And of course, I developed a love of nature that is strong and has been with me all these years. I enjoy going floating on Missouri's Ozark rivers. That's like my most enjoyable activity. Kayaking on the Current River. I get in the water with my goggles and watch the fish, and I've always enjoyed swimming. My mom and dad put in 2 ponds the year I was born, and my mom said she thought if they'd let me go, I would have been swimming at 6 months. Well, one thing I've worked with for years through my job is to help people understand how vulnerable like our caves and streams are to water pollution. And so proper use and management of chemicals and other pollutants like sediment. So I'd like folks to understand that and be willing to do things to take care of our waterways. One of the things I'm concerned about as a park naturalist is invasive plants. And I'm really concerned that they will harm our natural ecosystems. And for those who do work at controlling them, it takes a lot of time and money. It's really necessary for people to become educated about that and work on it, because that's a threat we didn't used to have, and if we don't take care of it, we will lose a lot of our natural biodiversity and ecosystem health. Yeah, I understand there's stereotypes that go way back as far as like the Ozark hillbilly, not intelligent, and that's just not true. They're independent thinkers, but they're intelligent and just as educated as anywhere else. My mom talked about her dad being really good at math, even though, he just had an 8th grade education. During the Depression, there was a drought year, 1936. People were like cutting weeds and brush to feed their livestock, and that was disappearing. And so he drove to Illinois and bought straw and brought that back. He would have the neighbor boys cut little hickory sprouts and loaded them up and hauled them to a factory that made pipes, for smoking. And years later, one of those boys told my mom that money from that was what fed them for some time, that winter. So it was important and, helped out people in the community. And that reminds me of my dad talking about his dad, giving people firewood when they needed it, which one winter sort of teed him off because he and his brothers had worked hard cutting that firewood, and then his dad's just giving it away. But he also mentioned, a lot of people at his dad's funeral because they appreciated that kind of generosity.
That was Roxie Campbell speaking about her family's tradition of valuing and sharing Missouri's natural resources with their community. Missouri on Mic is an oral history and journalism project from Missouri's 200th year. Thanks to Logan Franz for producing this episode, and the Burney Sisters for providing our music. For more conversations like these, visit kbia.org. I'm Becca Newton. Thanks for listening.